On April 1st, when these holy books were taken, 96 of them worth over $400,000, books that are hundreds of years old. When that happened, I can't describe to you the pain that it caused to the Rabbi Rokeach. I mean, these books are so precious and so holy and so significant. I mean, they're irreplaceable. With regard to those responsible, whoever they are, no charges are being pressed by anyone. The community and the rabbi and the synagogue are so overjoyed that these holy books have now been returned. This is just one example of one of those books, and I got to tell you, just opening it for me, knowing where it comes from and the great rabbis of the past who actually were involved in, using this. It's like, I gotta tell you, it's an incredible feeling. I just know as a fact, he's pretty newly married, but I know his wife was giving him a hard time. She felt he was more in love with the books than with her. So she gave him a rough time, but now it's over. Now he can go back to...
During the course of this investigation, we've received plenty leads and tips from many different people, including people involved in the actual perpetrator of the case of these heist books. We followed up with many, and ultimately we identified an individual who had a very close connection with the perpetrators of this gang who committed the crime, and we started negotiation from that point.
This story got attention all over the world, basically. And by the way, they try to sell these books all over the world as well. So this is a joyous moment and a message to everyone out there. If you possess something of great value, make sure you protect it. Make sure you protect it.
Was this a professional crew? Because there's a lot of boxes over there and it's heavy. This was not like a 5-minute job.
Well, this is not a very complicated job either. It's not like robbing a bank. Look, the synagogue is open to the community, like every other synagogue. Synagogues, they want people to come, they want people to study. That's what they use it for. So it wasn't like a fortress or a bank. No one expected, the idea that someone would take holy books. We don't want to believe that anybody would ever do that. But the reality of life is that there will always be people who will do things that none of us expect. And the best thing is to be secure. So from this point on, they have the security, and others who have valuable things, books, other items that people may desire to take, be secure. Have your surveillance cameras. I'm a great supporter of surveillance cameras. We have them throughout the community. And by the way, the cameras actually helped in the investigation of this.
Now, you mentioned no charges will be pressed, right? Nobody's pressing charges. What guarantee is there that these people will not do it to a different synagogue?
There is no guarantee. There's no guarantee. But today we are happy that these books have been returned. Some of the people that may have been involved in all of this need a lot of help. I'm not talking about the ringleader, some of the others, and they need to get help, and we're looking at that to deal with it. I don't want to go into that now. Today's just a joyous day that we got back the books.
Were these books handed down to the rabbi in this synagogue?
First, I don't know the answer.
You don't know the background?
I don't know, but maybe...
You know the background?
You see in the written in the
in the thing.
Names of people throughout the hundreds of years.
Wow. So these books were literally, we're talking about hundreds of years old, handed down through the family, father to son, son to son, and on for generations. Boy, how amazing is that thought? And these books go back to some of the greatest figures in Jewish history in terms of great rabbis. And there's a feeling that these books are holy. They are. The idea that a great rabbi from 300 years ago actually prayed in this book, just to be able to have it in your presence, to be able to put your hand on it and ask God for something, it has great significance, and people believe great power as well.
Why?
At the end of the day, those that were involved in bringing these books back, whatever the details are of what they worked out with those that were involved, that's what happened. Maybe if the police directly had been involved, maybe they would have been charged. Look, I'm just happy the books are back, and that doesn't close the chapter. I am on a personal level, knowing a lot more about this, want to pursue other things in terms of some of the young people who may have actually carried out this task for somebody else to deal with that. So we're going to be looking at that. Okay.
And can you talk about that the books were scattered around the world?
Which
Like, how far
countries?
did they go?
Which countries were they?
I can tell you that we actually got phone calls. Book dealers, once we put out the story and offered a $5,000 reward, and that got attention throughout the Jewish world. You know, the Jewish world, whether you're in New York, whether you're in Moscow, or whether you're in Paris, or whether you're, or of course Israel for sure, or Toronto, Canada, you know, the word spreads.
Yeah.
So we ourselves got phone calls. Forget about the police and the Shmira. We got calls from Canada, from a guy in Russia, who now I'm told lives in the Ukraine, actually, lives in the Ukraine, who's calling our office, supposedly giving us information, actually send us copies of some of the books to show that they emailed it to us, saying, look, I know what I'm talking about here. So a lot was going on, and there were other countries as well. You could talk more about maybe other places in the world.
It was Canada, it was Europe, Ukraine, like the Assemblyman said, but it was definitely plenty other places. And then at some point, some were in Los Angeles, I believe. I mean, it was all over, not only out of the country, but even in the country, in plenty of different states.
And these were all book dealers that had.
They were trying to sell these books, but word had gotten out that these books had been taken from a synagogue. So obviously, those who would buy books of this kind were very, very careful. So, and thank God, because of the work that was done and giving them a deal they couldn't refuse, whatever that was, we got the books back.
You know how many people were involved in this book theft?
I don't know.
Do you have any answer? How many people?
I'm not exactly sure, but probably like 10 or so.
Does the value go up even more now because of the story?
Well, look, anything that gets older and older and older goes up, except people.